Do need a little more light on this, honey. Just turn it on. Hello, hello, it's Amy. I'm trying to get a little bit more light on the subject, but as you can see, today's video is going to star the Janome M17, also called the Janome Continental M17. And I just closed my shop up for the day. Yeah, it needs a little more down. And what I want to do is really just kind of play with this machine just like I got it new out of the box. And frankly, I pretty much did get it new out of the box. Yesterday, I did shoot a live video with the machine on my YouTube or on my Facebook page, the Amy Quilts Facebook page. And this machine literally took its first stitches online for everybody to see, and it did great. So that was very exciting. I'd show it to you, but I just realized I have a bunch of thread and accessories on here. I need to make sure I can see the chat. If you are watching, I would love, I see a couple of thumbs ups already. I'd love a sound check. I am using a new microphone, a wireless microphone, just to try to get the sound a little bit better without having to have my face right up against the phone. So I've got the machine set up for embroidery, and the machine has several different designs in it that I think were created just to launch this machine. And if you could see over here on the screen, let me get a little closer. It is a little speech bubble that is a in the hoop stuffy that says wow. And I'm going to stitch that out, and then I'm not going to go too far into the embroidery side of things, and I'm going to take it back to the sewing side of things. But the embroidery was something I wanted to go ahead and get set up before I started the video. Thanks for the positive sound checks. I really appreciate it. So first thing I've got to do is thread the machine. I do have the largest hoop hooped up already and connected to the machine. This hoop is called the, what's it called? The RE46D hoop, and it is 11 by 8. Is it 11.1 by 18 or 18.1?
18.1 by 11.
Okay.
That's the embroidery space.
Yep. So the embroidery space on this large hoop is 18 by 11.1. No, I got the wrong. 11 by 18.1. Okay. I keep feeling like it's a page of paper, and I want to call it an 8.5 by 11 or something, but it's not.
That's correct.
Oh.
11 by 18.1.
11 by 18.1.
The point one is kind of irrelevant at that.
It is. So 11 by 18 inches. And I've got the hubby connected to our big screen TV in the classroom.
I'm trying to find the live here.
He's trying to find my live so that, so you have Amy Jo Johnson. I am not a Joe. So that he can see more of your comments and help me. Hello from Italy. Hello, hello, Miss Wilma. So first thing we gotta do is we gotta open up the machine. And just push a button, it pops right open. I love all this storage up here on top of the machine. And you'll notice it doesn't have a lot of stitches up here on the lid like a lot of our Janome machines do. First of all the stitches are shown on the screen, and we can look at them on the screen versus having to look up here. But they also included these little cards. I'm just going to show a couple to you. They're little magnetized cards. And so if you're doing a certain type of stitching, you can just pop them up here on the lid and look at the stitches visually. But we can also do that on the screen. So I'll do that when we get to the regular sewing. Half of the stuff for this machine I haven't even taken out of the packaging yet. So I really want to just take this nice and easy and play with the machine just like you guys were my best friends over in my studio. So please feel free to ask questions. I can't address pricing. That's the one thing I cannot discuss with you because different dealers are going to price it at different prices. And you have different trade-ins, so what you pay at one dealer may be different from what someone pays at another dealer, and Janome wants us to just kind of handle that individually. The MSRP with the bonus value package is, I want to say it's right at $24,000, and that clearly makes this machine not for everyone, but so are a lot of things. The Tesla is not for everyone. A Jaguar car is not for everyone. But this is like the workhorse machines from Janome that we're used to, but with more of a luxury feel, which is something Janome has never really done before, is done kind of a luxury model. And, there's a point in your life where, the kids are gone or you're just really focused on your textile art, and it's time to just do something for yourself and treat yourself. So, loving that. It does have the automatic go to sleep, so I just had to turn that back on. And I need to lock my machine. Let's see if we can get it a little bit. We have the built-in thread stand.
Ooh, they have a nice chart on how to thread it too.
Yep, it's all right there on top. Needle threader. I'll move you guys down for the needle threader. I feel bad it has lint on it from last night using that cotton thread. So let's bring you down here. I had to arrange my classroom to fit this machine in. And it's threaded, so quiet. I did not put a new bobbin in it for embroidery, so I might as well let you see me do that. So we've got a whole new type of embroidery setup. This is no longer the in the back type setup. So this is a little bit more similar to the 500 and 550E, and also what I guess you would see from some of the other brands. I don't know. I am a loyal Janome girl, so I don't know much about those machines. But I've just got a little latch here, and then you just slide it out, except for my foot was down because I'm still locked. Let's put that up. Good deal, Amy. So this really helps folks handle the hoops easier. I do think sometimes the in the back system is a little awkward because it is in the back. and the latches for those, like on the 15,000, can be a little awkward. So this is much simpler to do. So let me pull this hoop out. I apparently need to scoop my chair back to get it out.
That's because it's mammoth.
It is. So the voice you're hearing is someone you probably have not heard before if you just watch my YouTube videos. This is my husband behind me, Eric Johnson.
Hello.
And I am a Janome dealer, and he is my certified Janome tech. Now, we were already husband and wife before he became my service tech. Just to clarify any questions, there's no workplace hanky-panky going on. Did you just sigh?
Yes. The one time there could be, and there's not.
I can't find the tail end of my... Oh, that's because that's not the tail end. Sorry, just trying to get this pre-wound, ready to go into the case. Can you see comments?
I cannot.
All right, well, I need to see comments. Let's see. Yeah, we got a lot of comments. You need to do like a swipe or something on your phone so that the comments show. EJ says, I sound good in Ontario. Well, you know, I am loud. I am using a cutaway stabilizer. Where'd that end go? I just had it. So I have a Janome pre-wound. And why the heck I can't get that end loose? Oh, there it is. Got it. So it's a Janome pre-wound. I am using the same bobbin case that it came with because this particular pre-wound has a fairly thick thread. And we're just going to see if I actually need to switch to the tighter bobbin case that is provided for embroidery or not. Usually on my other machines, I don't need to switch out the bobbin cases, which is handy because, like I said, I'm a dealer. So I'm always showing different techniques and different machines to my customers. Now, if I can move this hoop into place without hitting the camera. All right, and it just, let me see if I can give you a better position. Right there. So it's got a little bracket here, and it just slides in. So much easier on the hands. And then you just got to give it a little shove for it to latch in place. There we go. And then this is the lever to release the hoop. Let's get back in here a little bit more. And so we have two screens, one here and one over here. This is very different from what we've seen from Janome before. On the M7, which is kind of the precursor to this machine without embroidery, had a big screen right here because there's so much space here. It's 13.5 inches to the right of the knee till you get to here. That you don't want to have to be craning your neck and reaching way over to the right to access the menu. So there's a lot of that right here. And then we've got a lot more functionality over here. This is the design I have chosen. And I currently have it so that you can see each color. Let me put it back. So it's a little, what do you call it? Speech bubble. And it's not super huge. But we're going to do it in that huge hoop. I'm going to turn on my little laser on the machine. And, we're going to start off with the black thread, which I've got that threaded. Let's just get that cut and held out of the way. This is the first time it's done any embroidery. I just want to say that, because I'm a little nervous. Can you hear that in my voice? I'm just a little nervous stitching for the first time on a brand new high-end luxury machine online live makes me a little nervous. Although I trust Janome, sometimes I might actually screw up. So I'm going to use the basting feature. None of our Janome machines that do embroidery have a basting feature, or at least the last several years worth of machines. Some of those earlier ones didn't have a basting option, but we're going to do a basting option, and it's just going to secure this fabric to the stabilizer, which will also help make sure that the fabric in the right place. It's going to say I have a thread break. And we're going to go back to the beginning because that basting feature usually works a lot better if I hold it for those first couple of stitches because they're just really long. All right, back to this top corner. Oh goodness, I gotta stay out of the way. That's hilarious. There we go. We're still not catching that thread. Let's hear it for live quilting and having a problem. There. Now I've got my bobbin thread. There we go. I think that bobbin might have been a little too full of thread. It's very tight. I'm glad I didn't put the tighter bobbin case on it. All right, let's start again. Watch those pre-wounds, folks. Make sure they don't have too much thread on them. All right, so we missed one side because I didn't put my bobbin in correctly. Yeah, stuff happens. So I like to, a lot of my students have said I'm relatable, which I guess means that they're a hot mess just like I am. So we are ready to go ahead and stitch. Laser on, we look good, and I don't really care about starting in the center for this project because I moved it off center. Oh, it's going to start off with the zigzag for the wow part. I thought it would do the outside line first. I probably could have put an applique in the middle. So I do think one thing about this machine is if you like to sit in front of your embroidery machine as it embroiders, like I do, that you're going to need to sit back away from the table if it is this largest hoop, because it can come out about 1.5 feet from the machine. You will want a pretty solid table for this machine. It is large, it takes up space. I do have a folding table underneath it, one of those brown banquet tables you can get just about anywhere. And I can see the table wiggling a little bit, but that is what it is going to have to do for me. So So I'm going to change up this a little bit. Since now I know what this part looks like, I'm going to put some white in there. I'll be right back. We're going to turn it into an applique.
All right.
Oh, I forgot I have my microphone on, so I'm over in my studio trying to find a nice light piece of fabric that's not too terribly wrinkly. My studio is a disaster. I'm really glad that
nobody could see it.
Is on my face. Yeah, well, I know nobody can see it, but I have, there they are. Perfect. I have some layer cake squares that I use for a lot of these demonstrations. Those have stripes across them from corner to corner. We're not going to use those. Now, I am in my shop. I could just grab any layer cake, a white layer cake, and bust it open, but I'm not going to. So, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to grab that other square. That's too wrinkly. I do not want y'all to have to sit and watch and wait while I go through some of that. Here's one. Perfect. See, these live videos, they're a little challenge. Oh, and my necklace is banging against my microphone. Let's get rid of that.
So Veronica Savage wants to know, does this machine have a camera?
It does not have a camera. You can use the iPad to look at how your design is going to look on your machine, which gives you a lot better resolution than a camera. Let's cut that thread. So now this design is not made to be an applique, but I want it to be an applique. And what Amy wants, she gets. So we're going to go back to my first stitch. There we go. And go ahead and get that going on that zigzag again. So I'm going to stop it just as it finishes this zigzag and trim this extra fabric away so that our speech bubble is white in the center. You're still going to see some of that fabric showing through. But again, you know, a lot of times when you do your designs for the first time, you learn something while you're doing them, whether you can do it a certain way or not. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of have a little play. That's what this is, playtime, you know, on live on YouTube, like normal people do. So you can see the laser here. It does come with just a regular embroidery foot without the laser, if you don't want to have the laser in there. What else can I tell you while it is stitching away without forgetting?
The laser does not cut.
No, the laser does not cut. It's a red light.
We say that.
All right. So I need to be ready to stop it. And we're going to cut it. And then I bet I can make that hoop move wherever I want it. Yep, there's the hoop moving icon. We're going to move the machine needle and everything out of the way so that I can cut this. Now, I know that since this is not created for applique, that the edge of my fabric is going to show. So I'm actually just going to trim it slightly outside. You know me, I like to think outside the box. If I always stuck to what people told me I can and cannot do, we wouldn't be doing all this ruler work that we're doing these days. And I probably wouldn't have a machine dealership or a YouTube channel or a quilting blog or all that stuff. Sometimes you have to be brave and try something new.
I should have got you your curved scissors.
You should have. But this is fine. I'm going to have to clean up in here when I get done.
It's fine. Not a problem.
So I want to hear from those who are watching. Is there anybody who is watching who has been thinking about getting this machine? And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. Eric is monitoring the comments for me, and I can answer them. Or at least I can try, because like I said, I just got this machine. It stitched its first stitches last night. My arms aren't that long. I'm going to have to stand up.
That's a big hoop.
This is a big hoop. So the embroidery unit has these little built-in storage cubbies in them. And then the lids for the storage cubbies support the hoops. And there's two sizes. One is a little smaller for all the other hoops. I can't cut it that way.
You can take it out there.
I can. Let's do that.
You've done the dreaded unhooking. Oh no.
Well, you know, Janome actually is known also for making tabletop robots.
Laboratory quality.
Laboratory quality tabletop robots, like the kinds you see where they're pipetting, 2 milliliters of a reagent into cuvettes or something. I don't know. I don't know the terminology exactly. And that's what helps give us the precision that Janome has when it comes to the embroidery. So I've rough cut this out here because this is not designed to be an applique.
Well, we're going to do it anyway.
Well, and it's going to give it a little ruffled edge, and if I need to trim it up later, I will, because this is already the underlayment for the zigzag or for the satin stitch. So if I try to cut it right up to that zigzag, it's going to look like I messed up. This way, it's going to look like I meant to do it. Which I did. All right, now let's get the hoop back in there. Scoot my chair back because it's so big.
Gives you some longer arms.
This is a great machine for tall people. All right, we're going to move it back to where we stopped. Get that thread. And while I touched that start-stop button, since it had the hoop moved out of the way, it just returned to that position. So I actually am going to go back a few stitches. So
has said, "Oh, the joys of live streaming." Doing well, Amy.
Hey, girlfriend, how are you? So she's a Janome educator from Canada. So while that's working, that's going to take a bit. Let's talk about what we can do here on our screen that's closer to the needle. So this is like our adjustment panel, and I guess the first adjustment I should take is get the...
You took the plastic
I took the plastic off. I'm living dangerously, all right? So we can change our tension right here. I can change the length of my cutting commands, or whatever that's called. I can change the height of the foot, which for me, I think the default right now might be a little high because this is just quilting cottons, but it's working very well. There are some other options here for when I am set up with some other stuff. We're not going to worry about that right now, but this is going to be awesome when we're doing regular sewing because I can adjust my tension, I can adjust my width and my length, my foot height, presser foot pressure is really more what it is, and quite a few other things. And then of course some people like to adjust with knobs, so we've got knobs. I think the knobs could be really fun when you're doing some satin stitching with the variable zigzag, but instead of letting your knee do it, you can turn the knob and do it. I don't know, I have more control over my hands than I do my knee. Got anybody else asking anything? Yesterday, I did wind a bobbin on the machine, and it worked out really well to wind the bobbin while I already had the thread, the top thread threaded for my top of my sewing, because the way the 2-cone thread holder here is, there are 2 paths for the thread. So they go up to the stand, up above the cone, and then this is for the first cone, and this one's for the second cone. And so if I want to wind a bobbin while I am stitching, I totally can. They're not going to get in the way of each other. And it does have a separate motor for winding a bobbin. So having a separate motor's not different from the 6700P, the 15,000, the M7, but the thread path is a lot more conducive to doing it at the same time, because I've always said I'm not coordinated enough to do both at the same time, and I'm like totally talking with my hands. You guys can't see it. So I love that about the machine. The screen is actually bigger than on the 15,000. I forget what the measurement is. Let's see if I can look that up on my handy dandy chart. Well, it's bigger than my iPad mini. We don't have a... Well, oh yeah, that's right. So it's about the size of a regular iPad, not your iPad Pro or anything. And I have the iPad here because this machine is wireless compatible, which means you can totally transfer designs through your home's Wi-Fi. You can also use it through the iPad to the machine. And then there are these apps that Janome has, so that you can do, you can use your Accusetter app, which the Accusetter app is just amazing. Let me pull that out. You know, some of these apps have been available for a while with the 15,000 and the S9, but a lot of people don't know about them. And I was telling Eric and I was telling my Janome rep that I feel like some of the benefit of this machine, while it's not for everybody because it is a very high-end machine, it's great for showing people how all the different features work together and can help you learn maybe a smaller machine, something that fits your budget better, that has these abilities. So the apps work with the Skyline S9, which is a machine that is around 4,000?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Don't quote me on that. I'm just giving a round figure. We can't give out prices like that. You know, the Skyline M7 or the Janome Continental M7, if you're not interested in embroidery, has the same space as this machine. Now, I do think there's some differences here, and in this carve out, we have a little thumb wheel up here for the needle. There's a lot of differences between the M7. A lot of people were saying, oh, the M7 is a sewing machine only, and the M17 is going to be just like the M7 with embroidery added. Oh no, there are a lot of differences on this machine in sewing that you will not find on the M7. So, you know, treat yourself. So here's my Accusetter. Does this machine only work with the iPad? A couple of the apps already work with Android, and I know they are working on some more to come out with the Android. You also get software for the machine that is PC based, and so you can use that with the machine. And then also, as a bonus, you get Digitizer Junior with this machine, which is a digitizing program. It's not as full-featured as our regular digitizer. It's called Digitizer Junior, and it works both on PC and Mac system. So it wants to show me the preview. I don't really want to do the preview, but I'm not sure if I can do all of this at once. So basically, you pull a design from your machine to the iPad, you take a picture of the hoop and match it up to some points, and then you can just move the picture of your design on the picture of your hoop until it's exactly where you want it, and then you send it to the machine, and the machine will stitch it exactly where you placed it. Can you get me my Skyline S9 frame? So, for example, since you guys are all watching while this thing stitches out.
No step outs here. We're doing it live.
Yes, we're doing it live. So this is a little demo I did for the Skyline S9, and it uses the Accusetter app as well, and so does the 15,000. I hooped my fabric crooked on purpose. So you can see this is the basting box for where this design was going to be. It would have been straight this way. I put my little patch pocket on it crooked, and then I was able to use that Accusetter app and turn it so that it lined up perfectly with my crooked pocket. Same thing down here. This is two different stitch outs of a sashiko design. You can notice the red is a little bit different from one to the other. So this is the first one I stitched out, and then I re-hooped, and you can see the basting box from where I re-hooped here, and it was definitely crooked. You can see that angle there, and then I was able to use that Accusetter app to move this design until it lined up perfectly with the previous pattern. So you can take designs from any size and just keep adding to them until you reach the absolute maximum of your hoop. Then you can re-hoop your design, and you can line things back up and just keep going. It's really amazing. Okay.
Is the M17 only embroidery machine that uses the 18 by 11 hoop?
It is. It is at the moment. I don't know what's coming along in the future, but this is the biggest hoop that Janome has, and I believe it's the biggest hoop of any combination machine out there on the market from our other sewing machine brands. I know the 550 embroidery design, the 550E embroidery machine has a large hoop that is almost this big, but it is not quite this big, and that's an embroidery only machine. So I'm going to remove my thread. We're going to change out the color. So yeah, I really think there's a lot of difference between the M7 and the M17. It's not just like they added embroidery on.
Well, it's a lot like the 9450 and the 15,000. There's still quite a bit of difference between the sewing in and the sewing out for the machines.
I think that's true to some extent, but I would say that there's a lot more difference between the M7 and the M17 than there is between the 9400 even and the 15,000.
I just can't wait to get the bottom off that machine.
You're going to have to wait, mister.
Do some training.
Yep. All right, so I do have my machine locked. That is very important for these types of machines with that automatic foot system. Oh, and this is awkward for me to do on screen, so sorry about that. There we go. When you lock the machine to thread it, you are opening up the tension discs. And you notice how I kept my hand up here the whole time? So it's like I'm flossing the thread wherever it needs to go. I'm not actually flossing it. I'm not doing this number. But it makes sure everything gets where it needs to go properly. So thread the needle. Oh, I should have done that where you guys can see it.
Do it again.
I'm going to do it again. Let's do it again. Like we did last summer. I'm going to unlock it for a minute so that I can pull that tail a little farther out. There we go. Lock it back. Missed it. Crap.
Of course.
That's because I pulled on that. All right, so, ouch. So notice here, if you're not familiar with the M7 has the same system for the needle plate, where when the machine is locked, you can raise that needle plate, and it takes no effort from you other than to push that button. Of course, we're not going to push that button while we're in embroidery mode. Baby love, I just screwed this up. I shouldn't have pulled on it to do it again. That is user error. Gotta love it. All right. So we're going to unlock. It's going to take me a while to get used to it. I can unlock it here as well as unlock it there. You know, that's what I tell my customers and my students. Janome gives us a lot of options, and it's up to us as dealers, or up to me as a dealer or as an instructor, to let you know about the different options, and it's up to you to play with those different options and see what works best for you. Something that works best for me may not be the best option for you. Let's make sure we don't get our finger. I probably just did something I shouldn't have shown you, which is cutting thread while the machine's going. Don't do this at home, folks. No needles in the fingertips.
She's a highly trained professional.
I like to live dangerously. What can I say? I married you after all.
Yep.
Uh-oh. Sorry, I just sneezed. Hopefully you guys didn't hear that blaringly loud through the microphone. I did try to cover it up. Thank you, Sharon. So we've already gone 45 minutes. I really don't know how long YouTube lets you go live, but we're just going to keep going because after this is done, I want to take you through some of the sewing options. Oh, I know one of the things I want to do right now. So if you order just about anything from us online, and that's at amyquilts.com, the shipping department, also known as Eric, will put one of these lovely stickers in your box. I gotta figure out where I can put that. Oh, but I like having it here. There's not enough room. You know why there's not enough room? They really pared the area in this spot down so that you would have a lot more visibility on the machine. I'm just going to trim that up a little bit. Leave it just like that. Don't worry, I'm not putting a sticker on someone else's machine, just my own. How big is the machine from left to right, approximately? Go get me a tape measure, please.
4 feet, approximately.
I don't know if I'll end up keeping it there, but it's streamlined here. There's a lot more height here, so the visibility is really good. So I'm sitting at my chair. I'm probably still too close to the hoop. I'll have to move out, but I can see from this position all the way back to here where my finger is. So a lot of room. Okay. I'm going to say it's 40 inches. No, it's a little bit more. 43 inches, and that may give you a skosh more room for the power cord and foot pedal plug. So about 43 inches, and that's including the length of the embroidery unit. I don't see that this is a machine where I would be taking the embroidery unit off and on. It also acts basically as a built-in extension table.
Nice solid one too.
Yeah. So we're almost done, and I have another piece of fabric here ready to finish off our little quilt-in-the-hoop design. Anyone else have some questions? We're going to finish up stitching this piece, and then I'm going to go to regular sewing. I'll show you how the needle plate lifts up and how easily it is to clean in there. And we'll take a look at some of the stitches. Oh, that reminds me, I've got to get another piece. All right, I'm taking you verbally to my studio. You guys can still watch that. Run over here. Oh yes, this is a high shank machine. All of Janome's bigger machines are high shank machines, starting with the Skyline S5, I think, is also a high shank machine.
9mm width.
9mm stitch width for your zigzag and your decorative stitches. All right, so I've got my little piece ready.
Sharon says, thank you. This is fantastic.
You're quite welcome. So, fabulous machine. You know, Janome is a workhorse, but this takes that workhorse and takes it up a couple of notches. So you don't have the Amish plow horse. You have yourself a Budweiser Percheron stallion. A little easier to handle than a Percheron stallion, I am sure. All right, so next we're going to put, where did I put my fabric? There it is. The back on. And I could change my thread color, but I'm not going to. This is kind of like those designs where the thread color changes are just to get you to stop and do something like your machine applique. White probably would have been a better choice for these two fabrics, but you know, time's a wasting. The motor almost sounds like it's making music.
She went to consonant. Well, she said, sorry, did I miss the number of hoops that it comes with? I think it's 6. Chart here on the back says 5 or 6.
Let's see, where is my list of hoops? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Currently it comes with 6 hoops. Now one of those is the included Quilt-in-the-hoop. Did I say that right?
Yes, right. Throw a comma in there, it works.
And that is kind of a separate package. I don't know if it, at some point, the machine may come with just the regular embroidery hoops and not the machine quilting hoop, the machine embroidered quilting. But right now it comes with 6. So that whole quilting system is pretty wonderful if you're, you know, wanting to get your quilts done yourself, but want to let the machine handle it a little bit more.
All right, so now what did this do?
So this did a triple stitch all the way around the outside.
Okay.
And we're done. So I'm going to take my hoop out. We've got these little magnets that help hold your hoop together. You know, when you get a hoop this big, it really is a challenge in engineering to make sure it can handle it. And it does handle it beautifully. I'm going to show you. There we go. So, yeah. So there's the halfway position. This is open. But wait, there is actually a second one of these on the other end. And there are screws to help you loosen and tighten as necessary on both corners. Whoops. I'm going to hand these to you because there's not room for me and the hoop right here under the screen. Oh dear. It looks like I'm going. It did stall for a minute.
Something went wrong. Tap to retry.
Well, you go ahead and tap to retry. It looks like I'm still going on my end. It just may be the, there we go. Just may be the,
Might have been my airplane.
what do you call that? The lag time, that's what it
Yeah,
is.
that could be.
So it did the outside stitch, left a hole for turning. And of course, if we had time, and we don't, I would trim around the outside, flip it right side out, stuff it up, and we'd have this really cool little stuffy that says wow. Kind of like, you know, those little birthday balloons. I'm going to give a pair of scissors to Eric and let him try cutting it out. Keep him working. I know you don't really sew, but you can at least cut.
I can trim.
All right. So I'm going to lift you guys up so you can see a little bit better. And there we go. So to take the machine out of embroidery, I'm going to go up here to the home key and we're going to put it in ordinary sewing mode. And it's saying that the sewing mode will be switched. Unsaved design will be erased. That's okay because it's already on the machine. We've taken the hoop out and it's going to move to home position. So that's what the end of it looks like. And that is plenty far out of my way so that I can go ahead and do my sewing without having to take that off. However, there's one thing I'm going to change. And that is this part of the table, which is really cool. It comes with two different size, I almost want to call them bumpers, but it's the little part of our extension table and the support for the hoops. This lifts up, comes off, and I've got all this little storage room. There's a little channel here for my knee lift. And I'm going to put the smaller one on. I've got to grab the right one. There we go. And the reason I'm doing this is the edge of my table right here. I want to be able to use my knee lift. And with that bigger side, this sits out farther from the edge of my table. And, you know, this may not be true for you if you are a small, slender, healthy weight person, but I am not one of those. So I change it to this one, and now it's right along the edge of my table. I've got a little bit of space here, and I can get up nice and close to the machine. Unlike when I was trying to use that giant hoop. Let's see, can I bring you over there to see this better? All right, if you get motion sickness, forgive me. I'm going to try to get you a little better view of the main screen. I do like having all this room out here in my classroom for this. So we are in our regular sewing mode. I'm going to move the camera back over in a moment and change out the P foot. This is actually the PM foot because it has that laser on there. Does the embroidery arm on the left, is it able to remove totally? Yes, but you are going to lose part of your, basically your extension table. And it stays well out of the way. You could take it off and then sit it down in a sewing machine cabinet that is big enough to fit it. So far, I haven't felt any need to remove it. If I was going to do a really large quilt and I had a sewing machine cabinet that I could fit it in, I would take the unit off and then put it down flush with my table surface. All right, so we've got a lot of different things we can do here. I'm going to go to the home screen again. So we've got our ordinary sewing mode, which is what we're in right now. We've got the embroidery mode, which is what we were in. And then we have the sewing application mode. And this is where you can use the saved settings in the machine to help you do certain techniques. So a lot of these, I'm an experienced sewer and quilter. I might not actually use, but if I was newer, I might want to see how to do the rolled hem, for instance. But where I really love this applications menu is here in this decorative stitches. I can set up for memorized patchwork piecing. I can set up for free motion. I even have a separate section for free motion ruler work. Where I was working yesterday was in this variable zigzag in free motion, which was pretty stinking awesome. So I used one of the little snap-on feet for that variable zigzag and really had a lot of fun with it. I can also do just a standard free motion zigzag with this machine and, just move my fabric and keep a standard sized zigzag stitch. And then, of course, you've got your straight stitches. This is with the hopping foot for the darning foot, but I love using the QC and the QO feet for this. For those of you who aren't familiar with the higher end Janome machines, all the stitches show right here when you choose them. And the benefit of going through that applications menu, particularly for free motion, is it's going to increase your top thread tension for you as you start out with your free motion. And I didn't have to adjust my tension at all when I was doing the free motion zigzag, which I got to tell you is a really good test of doing free motion and doing your thread tensions and seeing how well they're set. And then, of course, the ruler work, you can set the height for the thickness of your batting. And this keeps you from hitting the top of your needle clamp to your ruler work foot if you happen to drop that needle down while the foot's still up in the air. That's not a brand new feature for Janome. We've had it for several other models, but that's where this applications menu is so wonderful. So let's come out of here. We're going to go to the ordinary sewing mode. And it's going to remind us to make sure the proper presser foot is on. Now, I know somebody's going to ask me, what about the stitch regulator for free motion? And I am going to tell you right now, I have not messed with it. And I'm not sure that I am comfortable doing that live for the first time on video. Let me pop open my little cover here and grab my screwdriver and loosen this up. Pull out my cable in the back. There's a little door too. I'm going to shut my little door. You don't leave the door wide open, Amy. And, oh, I forgot to grab my regular sewing foot. There it is. So this is the zigzag foot I was using last night. I'm going to pop that off. Extremely great visibility with these free motion feet that are snap-on kind. And I am going to put on my decorative stitch foot, which is the F or the F2. There's the F2. I prefer the F foots, and of course they're clear, so I'll poke around and find it. This is where I need to start remembering that there are these little holders in the top of the machine. Now I can find them easier. There it is, I think. There it is. Yeah, there's our F foot.
It's awkwardly shaped, but it's done.
It is. And I'm going to do some decorative stitches with it. And while I am going to go ahead and do those decorative stitches, I probably would take the time to switch to the applique foot for what I'm going to stitch on if I was just doing it for myself. But for a demo, I'm just going to use the F foot. I like the F foot. I even like it better than the F2 foot because this little front part here, oops, there we go. This little front part here has a center marking, and that piece of plastic right there, which the F2 foot lacks, keeps my fabric from humping up in there. But the reason why I like the applique foot better for this is because it is shorter and it allows me to go around curves a little bit easier. But we're just going to use the F foot. And this is the book that I recently got. It's called Machine Magic. And it's machine applique using decorative stitches, which I think is awesome because, you know, we pay a lot for all these decorative stitches and all these functions. You want to get the most out of them. Where's my piece? There it is. So this is my piece. I've already done some decorative stitching on this with my 15,000. Let's move this over a little bit more. We're probably only going to finish up part of this before I need to stop. We have gone for more than an hour. And we do want to change out the thread color because I am not using this red on this. No, I don't want red. Let's see. I'm going to do the purple around those pink spots. So I do have that thread at hand, I think. Yeah, that'll work. That will work. There are a ton of stitches on this machine. I don't know if you realize that, but there are.
It's over 1,000, isn't
it? It is. Let's see. I got my handy dandy chart because I don't have these numbers memorized. So for embroidery, there's 1,230. 10 fonts, but in regular sewing, we've got 850 built-in stitches, including 13 buttonholes. Maximum sewing speed is 13 stitches per minute on the sewing side. For straight stitch, 1,000 stitches per minute for the zigzag, and of course, 7-piece feed dog and 91 needle positions. And, you know, if 850 stitches are not enough for you, you can make your own on your PC. It comes with software and allows you to make your own decorative stitches, which I've always said I was going to do, and I will as part of my teaching for customers. But as I was looking through the stitch chart the other day, I realized that I'm not sure I really feel the need anymore to make my own because there are some gorgeous stitches on here. So I already tweaked my needle threader, and that was totally me when I pulled it out. I'll have Eric fix it and we'll talk about that. So if you use it incorrectly, you bend that little hook. And if you're lucky, someone like hubby can straighten it out so it works again, and realign it. Oh, I didn't put it in there. Gosh, dang it, Amy. Upper announcement. So uh, we may not be doing this for much longer. So let me take that out of there. We're going to lock it again. Raise that foot up, and we're going to open up that needle plate. So it just raised itself up. I can pull it out and look at the guts of this machine. We are spoiled by our automatic needle threaders, and I feel so bad that I did that wrong right away. But this little magnet right here is what lifts up the plate so that we don't have to use any tools, which Janome's had that ability for a while, but there was a lever that you had to push, and that was difficult for some people, especially if your nails were a little bit long. You'd push on that lever and it would probably chip your fingernail. This one, we don't have to touch anything. But you can see the quality of the Janome machine when you pop that needle plate off. The only plastic that's in here is my bobbin and my bobbin case. Just amazing quality. You won't see that in the other brands' machines. Even some of them have a plastic needle plate. We got high quality here. So it's just making sure I have the right foot on and the right needle plate on. So yeah, I got the low battery message while you were gone.
Again.
Yeah, we're about dead in the water here. Not dead in the water, just dead in the battery. So let's see. I'm going to go to my decorative stitches section, and I'm not going to bother with the regular old blanket stitch because I want to do something that is way more interesting. And I've got to do it quickly before my machine runs out of battery. Not my machine, my phone. Oh yeah, let's do that. I want to make it smaller though. I like making my decorative stitches smaller for applique. Is that the one I want to use? I don't know. We're running out of battery. We're going to use it anyway. Ouch. Just hit my leg. So one of the cool things I can do is I can use this little thumb wheel. I think you got you guys zoomed out in too far. There we go. There is a thumb wheel right here, and I can use it to lower my needle and see if I'm positioned correctly, and I am. Refresh your screen. I did get a message on my phone that was saying my battery was low. So if you can still hear me, I bet if you just refresh your screen, you'll be fine. I don't know what I'm doing here. I just hit the scissors button instead of the needle plate button. Oh, that's why. Maybe I should not have put the thread cutter button on my foot pedal. Yeah, it doesn't like it when you do that. You see how quiet it is? Now I'm going to put on my pivot feature so that I can go around that curve nice and pretty. Still don't have picture. Oh, poo. I can't. I mean, it still looks like I have picture to me, so I don't know what I can do. Yeah, Kim, I can hit the thread cutter button. The part I can't do is get my foot off of it to then sew. I don't know. I'm sorry there's no picture. I'm going to just stitch a little bit in case somebody does have some picture. That foot comes up with every pause in my stitching so that I can continue to rotate the fabric as I go around curves. And I'm going to make it take a stitch back to go around this curve. Technically, we can put the charger cable on my phone, hon, but like I said, we've gone a long time, and apparently you guys can't see anything anyway. I might be able to edit some of this back onto the video later. All right, I'm gonna get to the end of this and call it a night, hitting my reverse button so it locks off without finishing the pattern instead of my tie off button, and cutting my thread. So sorry about that. Hope we can put this together later. There we go. Yeah, Kim says looking forward to part 2. Thanks for watching. You'll see more from me over the next couple of days and weeks. Bye-bye.